Senator Hassan.
Well, thank you, Chair Murray and Ranking Member Burr, and thank you to all of our witnesses today for the work you do. I want to just start to talk about a recent news item. It's a deeply disturbing report detailing dangerous inequities that USA Paralympians are facing at this year's Tokyo Paralympics. Becca Myers is a 6-time Paralympic medalist who won 3 golds in Rio 5 years ago. She is deafblind, but in the past, that hasn't stopped her from competing and winning at the highest levels. This year, though, she and other athletes from Team USA who experience disabilities are being denied adequate access to personal care assistance, reportedly due to COVID-19 restrictions. Individuals who experience disabilities should not be forced to navigate the Tokyo Olympics without the support that they need in the midst of a global pandemic. Becca announced on Sunday that she is quitting the team because she is being denied a, and this is her quote, reasonable and essential accommodation that would enable her to compete. This is an outrage and a preventable situation that should never have gotten to this point. So I want the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee to work immediately to address this issue, and I want them to ensure that all of our athletes are able to compete safely at this summer's game, including by providing them the basic supports that they need just to navigate the world. So I do have a question, though, Director Walensky, because over the last year and a half, the CDC has provided guidance on how to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 in various activities, as well as special events, including sports. I have a question that you all could answer in writing. You can comment on it now if you'd like, but what I'm interested in is your best guidance regarding COVID-19 mitigation, taking into account the needs of people with disabilities. So if you'd like to comment now, you can, or we can just do it in writing.
Maybe I'll just comment and say I share your concern. We have dedicated resources specifically to disabled communities, especially those who are unable to come out and get vaccinated. I think probably the individual sports, and which we can do by writing, but I just want to echo your concerns.
Yeah, and I just want to be clear that for some people with disabilities, the accommodation, the aid they need is another human being, and it really needs to be seen as the same kind of accommodations we would make in other situations. So I appreciate having an ongoing discussion with you about it. Now I'd like to turn to you, Ms. O'Connell. Last year, many states, hospitals, and first responders struggled to acquire personal protective equipment, and the federal stockpile did not contain the supplies needed to fulfill their requests for help. The stockpile also contained many expired and unusable products, which further limit its effectiveness. I recently introduced bipartisan legislation with Senator Cassidy that would improve transparency into the stockpile, authorize transfers of expiring products, and assist states in establishing and maintaining their own stockpiles in order to help avoid the kinds of challenges that we faced last year. What steps are you taking to improve the stockpile, and will you continue to work with us on this bipartisan legislation to make further improvements?
Senator Hassan, thank you so much for your question. This is a place where I intend to spend a lot of time in my new role. I'm pleased to report that ASPR has spent and invested over $10 billion in supplemental funds to restock the stockpile. We currently have 35 times the number of N95 respirators we had at the beginning of the pandemic. We have 17 times the number of gloves, 8 times the number of masks, and of the N95 masks, all 12 contracts are with domestic manufacturers. So we're beginning to see some progress.
And will you work with us on the bipartisan legislation that Senator Cassidy and I have introduced?
I would look forward to. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Dr. Fauci, I have a question for you about pediatric vaccines. Many parents and family members are understandably eager for updates on the potential availability of COVID-19 vaccine authorized for use for children under 12. I'm encouraged that clinical trials for young children are underway, and I'm hopeful that we will see the same safety and efficacy that we've seen from previously authorized COVID-19 vaccines. Doctor, when do you believe parents and families can expect trials to yield the type of data needed to pursue authorization for use in children under 12?
Thank you for that question, Senator. From the standpoint of the data that would be required to make a decision, that very likely when you do the age de-escalation study, so we've gone from 12 to 9, 9 to 6, 6 to 2, and then 6 months to 2 years, likely by late fall, early winter, we'll have enough data. But that doesn't mean that then it's all of a sudden going to be allowed to happen. That will be a regulatory decision that the FDA will have to make.
Well, thank you. And I see that I'm out of time. I'll follow up with you in writing because I'm also interested in what you think we could do now to help boost confidence and uptake for the pediatric population once the approval is authorized.
Thank you.